He's the database and operational master of Ory, and we're glad to have him today talking about the Ory Network and some of the trials and tribulations we have as a company, making it really good for you. And of course, his team and our whole network infrastructure project is doing their best to keep it always on, always running. Of course, there are some hiccups every now and then, but he's going to talk about that as well. Thank you, Andreas.
Thank you. So welcome for the last slot. And I have to go back first. I think this is part of the presentation, right? The problems with the clicker. I guess, no, okay. But I don't have to introduce myself that much because Thomas already did it, right? My name is Andreas Bucksteeg, working for Ory here in Munich. My team and I, we are mostly concerned with operating the Ory network and building out the infrastructure. And I will give you a few insights, a few also background stories, what we see when we operate Ory network. And I think also with ChatGPT incident right now, we see this is a prominent topic. And basically, it's a bit about talking about the ugly face of the internet, because if you operate a system, you see what's happening to your system. You see a lot of strange things happening, also a lot of bad intention, I would say. So therefore, I will give you a few different examples of what happened to us and how we basically worked with these kind of incidents. And I will start with a DDoS attack. So this was 1st of November, very nicely placed at a bank holiday in Bavaria, Munich, where some of our SREs are sitting, and also in Gliwice in Poland. But I think the good thing is our on-call chain worked out, so we were very quick in reacting. And basically what we saw, and you see on the bottom right, I think spot the problem. It's very easy. You don't need an AI for that. So this is basically a timeline of 5 days in this week. And the blue line is basically the DDoS attack. And the key characteristics were so 670 million requests hitting our systems with over 200 source IPs, might be even more. It's just, so it was not easy, right? It was not just one person shooting at us. So somebody used distributed botnet or whatever to attack us. And also the 75 JA3 fingerprints, it's basically a fingerprint you get out of the TLS handshake, and normally it's a good identification of basically a specific type of client hitting you. But for a time, it worked quite well. But when it works well for the people defending, then the people attacking think about other ways to make it a bit harder again. And this is basically what we saw. So in all these 670 million requests were served to us in less than 75 minutes. And if I contrast this graph there and take out the DDoS attack, this is the normal traffic we see. This is right now the top 5 customers, and you see a pattern, right? It's every spike, it's the day, midday, and this was basically the situation. And Cloudflare was we're using Cloudflare as well. We didn't have, with their problems lately, we weren't only slightly impacted because our custom host names were not working for a while, but the rest worked. Was identifying the DDoS attack, which was nice, was also notifying us this is why we were 2 minutes after looking at the system and figuring out what's happening, and was also blocking out a low percentage. But if you see the huge number and take low percentage blocked, you see this is still a massive problem for us. The good thing is we were constantly improving our system and also improved scalabilities. We had some DDoS attacks also before, and all these things we put in place worked better. But still, we saw that our system kicked in, scaling our system faster, serving again requests, but still 67 million requests can flood or clutter all the connections we had at this moment. And basically what we did, and you see here a timeline a bit, so what are the events, security events in Cloudflare, and basically how they were handling this attack. And you see the blue line is requests which are getting blocked. And then you see managed challenge were also handed out, but were not that effective in blocking the traffic. And we also put some rules in place to give us, via logging, additional insights. And basically and the one thing we really wanted to make sure, yes, we want to block the traffic, and we can maybe in the first step be very radical, but we need to ensure that as soon as possible we get back, get all the good requests through. So therefore, you see, I think at 10 minutes past 2, we had enough characteristics gathered, which was not that easy, to basically formulate custom WAF rules and put them in place, and then you see that the blue line for blocking requests went up. And I think 2 minutes after the system was fully operational again, was working. So the good thing for us, and also for you as customers of Ory Network, is these rules have substantially also influenced our standard set of rules now, right? And we also see that similar attacks are blocked, and we will constantly improve this. But still, I think there's a lot of creativity in this space, so we will also have to constantly improve what we see, understand what kind of attacks we are getting, and adjust to that. If we now take another look, this is a smaller thing, but still interesting. So the sneaky trying to get in through the back door is just so also a part where we always constantly also monitor our systems and look into the logs, right? We have automations which flag certain things, but we also look just what is happening and why do we have certain errors, where they are coming from, because we didn't have them before. And in this case, somebody was using Ory Actions, our customization functionality, where you can put custom code into every flow you can basically configure in Ory. And somebody wanted, and this custom code, you can do calls to external sources, right? You can ask other services. And somebody was starting to try to poke and see if he can access internal resources in our clusters. And I think this was easy to spot, and it was also secured because in general we make extension points as a focus topic for security reviews internal, but also for pen tests. And we will start another big pen test next week, actually, with Cure53. They were also doing the one last year. And this will be, again, for good reasons, as you can see, also a focus topic to see, is there anything else we can improve? Is there anything new maybe popping up with new versions of the libraries we are using? So where we have to ensure that this is secured. And we saw a lot of talk also about AI systems. Right now, we actively looking into how we can support ourselves also in this space with AI. And we have also a lot of things and ideas when you talk to Klaus later or to Andreas, how we can improve security and also signals in our system. But right now it's always, still we need a human expert in there to maybe sometimes also to judge, is this problematic, is it not problematic? But I think we will see a shift over the next years. And then just a normal day, and then it's the last graph you see for today. That is basically, we have 2 domains serving all the production traffic. And it's more like just to showcase, so there's a lot of activity, and basically we get millions of faulty and malicious requests every day just as normal. So that's not a specific event DDoS attack. It's more people, maybe some people trying out some scripts they find, some hacking tools they find, which are hitting our system, and they're looking for known vulnerabilities. Bigger parts are WordPress or other things, but also some are more tailored to what we do, and they try to get through, right? And what you also see, the blue line basically are blocks by our custom rules. It's not that Cloudflare wouldn't also detect parts of that, but our custom rules are the most specific, and therefore they're the first to hit. So if we would take them out, you will see that also Cloudflare will handle a fair share of that, but not as specific as what we can do with our knowledge about our application, about our services. And this is something where we also see new and changes over time, and then we readjust. And this is something we will see also, that we will do this constantly. And then next steps. It's a bit, so I asked our designers to have like also visualization, right? Where you have a building, you make it more secure so that you're not afraid. I think we are here, we are not on the left side, right? It's not wooden defenses. So we have a nice castle and there are walls around it. But we also see with all our ideas we have in mind, it will be a much bigger castle, a much more secure castle. And it's basically, so we are continuously weaving a tighter net to really sort out. We don't have to detect a DDoS attack, best case, through different characteristics. We have seen the net is that fine that it cannot get through. And yes, in the beginning, we will see if you get blocked, and you see we are active also in Slack, right? Let us know, we can check. It can always be that certain things we haven't found in testing, and then let us know. But in general, we will also expose more security configurations in our projects. Sometimes also back it up with Cloudflare functionality. For example, depending on the industry you're in, could be that you say, okay, I know I have maybe, I will attract a lot of malicious actors. I want to have like a managed challenge in my, my login UIs and things like that, right? And so things like that we will also expose. We also give you more threat signals so that you can also in the customization of your flows with webhooks, which are very secure, you can then act and do your own customizations. And this is something we do. Then tiered rate limiting is right, tackles the problem. So there, I know that we need to be more transparent of rate limits we have in our system. Because we also had some problems there in the past, and we will also document them and make them available to you. But we will also have like rate limits which are not meant from a business level, for example. It's more like, how can we see that malicious actors may be attacking multiple tenants of ours, but that we still spot them and block them out as early as possible. So this is something where we will invest a lot of time and do ongoing adjustment, as I said, because yeah, the threat landscape is changing rapidly and we have to change with it again. So I think a larger chunk also of the work we do in 2024 is also dependent on what's happening outside of Ory Network and maybe potentially attacking Ory Network. And Ory Network itself offers much more, right? We know about the value of our open source projects being battle tested. We built a lot of functionality around it. And I think this now matches very nice for active. I didn't change the part after Patrick's presentation about Cloudflare, but Cockroach, sorry. But this is also important for us, right? So right now we have, Ory Network is backed by 3 data centers, 2 in the US, 1 in Europe. We want to build this up. So our idea and the principles we have in mind is that we have more data center locations, not one big one in the US and one big one in Europe, to gain resiliency, and with the capabilities of Cockroach, still ensure that we stay within the legal boundaries. So if you say my data needs to reside in Europe, then this is taken care and we know where we can replicate to. Then one other part is continuous vulnerability scans and proactive updates of components. The overview of versions there is taken from our open source telemetry, and that's maybe now an extreme case, but still you see that there's a lot of V1 versions out there. When you see when they have been updated, because Ory is small, we take care of our open source projects, but we cannot patch every version you see there. And so you have, I would say half of these versions are older maybe than 2 or 3 years, and they are not patched. Versus here, we deploy our service, Kratos, maybe in master in our versions, not officially released in open source, but we deploy them multiple times a week, and we also patch security vulnerabilities from their dependencies on an ongoing process. So this is something we built in, and we also have we try to follow more the principle to proactively update and not go through a list of CVEs, because still if we can be proactive about it and it's easy for us with little effort, it's just better to be on the as new version as possible to make this easier. And then there's a lot of formal stuff with, but still good, right? Gives also assurance to our customers. We have compliance certification. So we did ISO beginning of the year. We had SOC 2 end of October. Which gives us a lot of, let's say, very formalized InfoSec processes, but it's still something we would anyway already did it, maybe not as formalized, But I think it's also good, especially with SOC, as they also test you, right? It's not just we have written something down, they test, we need to show evidence, and that should also give you more confidence that we are doing the right thing to keep your data protected. And 24/7 monitored is, I think, a given for SaaS solutions, but still, like the DDoS attack, I think it's still a good testament for being on call, but after 2 minutes, there were active work being done, and the system was secured. Very fast is still something showcasing that it works and works good. And we will build it out. We will get better, I would say, in all aspects, but that's more some backgrounds on what we do, what we see when we operate Ory Network. And I think that's, I'm not sure if this is accurate, over time at least. So it's maybe a good ending, and I hand over to Thomas.